Okay, hi. I wanted to walk you through the actual law itself. You can see this was created this was written in August 6th of 1970. And I wanted to walk you through this. And I just was really interested to see how they mentioned the elements of creativity in this law. And to see, honestly, the goal is to see how we might be able to replicate it as as something moving forward. At least I can advise people to replicate it in that way. So I wanted to see the language that they used. Again, this is 1970, so we need to talk about that in the lens historically of where it's at, and not to mention we're still in a dictatorship in Spain. The Catholic Church still has a significant hold, and yet we see a lot of these things, and you'll see religious elements built into this law too, but they're trying to just move themselves away. But we're going to focus right now on just the language of creativity. So what I did was actually started looking for the word creativity. In Spanish, it's creatividad. And we find it first with over here in Article 14, and it mentions right here creativity right there. So spontaneity and creativity both pop up in there, and of course right next to is responsibility, not surprisingly, but no matter what that. And then after that, on Article 18, we see it again. We need originality, creativity in schools, all right? And so there's a lot of other things in here, like the development of habits and aptitudes of cooperation and work in work. So I think that's it for creativity. I'm almost certain that it is. There's those two actual words, creativity, pop up. But still impressive for 1970. They were ready to address that right then and there. So let's look for another one. I also thought of the word individual. Individual. That's how you say individual. And we find it over here. Right here. The national, they talk about the scientific and the technical aptitudes that are necessary for the individual to become efficient, to become useful in the next level of society and society moving forward. And so you also see it here again. And yeah, they talk about traditions a lot in this. They are very focused on making sure Spain's traditions are still intact. But they want to make sure that the general education is a preparation, a professional preparation that includes the fecunda, actually means the, how do you translate it? The fertilization of the individual to life outside of this. I think it's for individual, if I'm not mistaken. And then I looked up, I thought, what's next? Well, flexibility. Right? Flexibility. I looked up flexibility, that. There it is. We had seen that not too long before this. What they said was they wanted no more than these opportunities. I'll highlight this. They wanted these educational opportunities without as many limitations as the capacity that there is to study. Why put all the limitations? So to establish an educational system that is characterized by unity, flexibility, and interrelations that will get the entire gamut of possibilities of education. And again, we'll see it again down here with talking about how the law should be put together, and they talk about teaching at the college level. It will need to be enriched, and it will require, due to the flexibility that is required of these institutions. And so again, they just mentioned that flexibility in there. And again, I don't think we see it again. Oh no, I take that back. There's one more. So we're talking about this reform, La Reforma, which is the law itself. We looked at this interesting sentence. They made sure they put this in here. The flexibility that is characterized in this law allows for reorientation and innovations that are necessary not just for the reform, but also for the life moving forward in society, and sociedad como la actual, that is in today's society. And it is saying that today's society is profoundly dynamic. And so one last word I look at two more. Originalidad. I think we looked at this before. This was in Article 18. We saw originality and flexibility. But still interesting to see that they built it in there. And again, so in Article 27, they said we'll have to tendrá despertar. We have to wake up and grow the student uniquely, their originality, and their creative aptitude. Right? So creative aptitude. 1970, we're talking about the creative aptitude and their originality. Now, this might not be a surprise to you, but to me I was surprised to see how focused they were at that point on this, considering 40 years later, 30 years later, we would begin to undo some of these things with our own legislation here in America. And I thought, what other word? Imaginación. So, they all talked about part of the professional competence is imagination, enthusiasm to solve problems, solve new problems, will be absolutely required for this new age of transformation and education in Spain's education. Okay, I think that's it. I think that's all the words I looked up. Oh, there's another one, I'm sorry. Right, we will look at the capacity and the, oh right, so they said the new technical instruments that we're going to need to learn are, yeah, this was important, I'm sorry, capacity of imagination, observation, reflection, and acquiring new ideas, and of course, religious habits. So, anyway, so this is a mix, but really the language of creativity really seems to live inside of this document. So, yeah, and it really came out as a result of some of that work from the Libro Blanco that was written in 1969. So that was the predecessor to this law. Okay, well, thank you, and that's it.